Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the return, the grand return that is, from the Cheap Seats podcast. I am your grand exalted poobah, Chris Branson. You can follow me on FTCS podcast on pretty much everything but the Facebook. No, Facebook asked a little too much of, yeah. Anyhow, let's get right into things today. I will I will say it is refreshing to be back, be amongst the pro wrestling talk game again. It's been some time. I think October is the last time I did a podcast, if not before that. Um, and I am very thankful for the crew and friends that I have across the pro wrestling game that keep me pretty much uh, up to date, in the know of things, and it is great for them to be able to inspire me to do this and to even contribute to the community at large. The community at large being the pro wrestling community, whether it's WWE, AEW, New Japan, TNA, AAA, CMLL, MLW, you name it, I watch it. As you can see right there on the bottom of the screen, that is your places to find me. Look for the boots, so to say. Um, let's see here. I'm going to throw on the ticker a little bit of a shout out to friends of mine who inspire me to do this. So, EVP, CJ, Miami the Great, Stampede, Big Mike, and Spedrock, kicking out at 2 with Mike and Tori, Lady Alpha, and others that I've gotten to know personally as a podcaster and are able to collaborate with, share ideas, talk wrestling. I'm not going to make it a very long podcast today. Today, we're going to talk a little about Elimination Chamber and the Danhausen arrival to WWE. As well, I'll talk a little bit about AEW coming this Wednesday from El Paso at the Haskins Center, old Texas Western College, or University of Texas at El Paso. Yeah, let's get into it. All right. Let's talk about this right here. We're going to start this off real quick with talking about the women's match. Now, watching last night, the women's match shined a little bit better than the men's match. I will say that. Flowed a little bit better. The fact that Raquel Rodriguez was able to project that inspired strength as a big woman to manhandle Asuka and Alexa, it was great. It was a very awesome, or excuse me, it was Kiana.
You just made my day. Nothing beats hearing that something hit the mark perfectly. What's next on your agenda?
Aha, Alexa got me. Anyhow.
Always happy to surprise in a good way.
Anyhow, getting on to that, Kiana and Asuka, the fact that Raquel was able to show that strength, work big as Kevin Nash told her to do a couple weeks ago, or a couple months ago. We here at From Cheat Sheets Podcast, and when I mean we, I mean I. It's nice to see that she is working almost all the way similar to how she was in NXT. NXT, she was able to showcase. Once she got to the main roster, up until Kevin Nash said something that
That's such a perfect parallel.
is.
She dominated
Oh,
and then brought that same intensity to the main.
yeah. Okay. Comedy of errors here today. Yeah. I think with Raquel, you're going to see her kind of slide into the championship match with Stephanie and Liv. Next was the women's intercontinental match. Excuse me. I almost skipped off before it. Got ahead of myself before I could even try. Let's see here. Play around with this a little bit. Anywho, the fact that Raquel was able to defeat Asuka, who has been a multi-time participant in the chamber, Kiana, who honestly this last weekend showed why she deserved to be in the chamber. It was quite nice to see new faces and people that they're trying to push to a better position on their brands, which left us after Raquel was eliminated by Rhea Ripley, obviously, that we had Alexa, Rhea, and Tiffany Stratton left. Now, you can make a case for Alexa Bliss. You can make a case for Tiffany Stratton. You even can make a case for Rhea Ripley as to why she faced Jade Cargill. Tiffany's looking for payback for months ago when she lost the championship. Alexa, with this allegiance of convenience, best way to put it, allies of convenience. Honestly, I don't think it was a bad thing. I really don't. You're going to start seeing it unravel, I think, heading into WrestleMania. I think we get an Alexa Charlotte, best way to put it, like soccer or football, a friendly there at WrestleMania. Yeah. The final two being Rhea and Tiffany. Now, if people don't already know, Rhea and Tiffany have flirted with their own team name in the past. I think it was Strapley or whatever, or Stripley, or I don't know. The fact that it was. Thank you, Stampede. Thank you for reminding me of that. Asuka and Kairi Sane being 1-18 in 2026. It kind of makes things hard for Asuka to be taken seriously, especially with Kairi being her whipping girl, essentially. I see that being a match at WrestleMania, but I kind of think they get involved in something else. With Rhea winning the Elimination Chamber, kind of I get what Meltzer and others said last night, that hey, we need to inspire new choices in that match card. But I'm gonna be the con here, the counterpoint to that. Rhea, yes, she is a cash cow. She is WWE's cash out. She is Paul Triple H Levesque's cash cow when it comes to the women. Not going to belabor that point. Honestly, the only reason why Rhea and Jade are sitting in that spot, whether it be night one, night two, is the fact that Triple H can see money instead of, hey, Here's a new option. Now, mind you, exactly, Stampede, very much so. Rhea was the break glass in case of created emergency. Bianca, more than likely, was who Jade was going to wrestle. Jade, on the other hand, going into WrestleMania, it would have been really bad had Raquel won or Rhea won and said, "Hey, let me go participate in this." Let's move on to the Intercontinental Championship match. Let's see. I'm gonna take this off real quick. Go back to the big screen. We're going to go to the Intercontinental match with AJ Lee and Becky Lynch. Now, let me talk about Becky Lynch real quick. Becky Lynch doing some of the best work that she has done in some time as far as being a heel. Really playing into the President of the United States' social media game when she makes a rant, which, he's a big enough heel amongst the community. It is what it is. AJ Lee continuing the winning streak against Becky Lynch, 3-0 now. The match was really, I'll say this. AJ Lee looked a lot more polished than she did for Survivor Series and WrestlePalooza. I'm pretty sure there was some time going over the match, getting ready, leading up to it. But those two women entertained. It was a questionable finish, if you ask Becky, but a definitive finish for AJ Lee, getting her to yet again tap out to the Black Widow. We have an new Women's Intercontinental Champion, AJ Lee. Let's go into the World Heavyweight title and with CM Punk and Finn Balor. I predicted on EVP CJ's prediction show that it was going to be Finn Balor, and I think that Finn honestly deserve I think you could have made a case for Finn to win the championship last night, go to the end of March. I believe the show Raw in the Garden is on the 30th or 31st of March. That's when you could have done a 2-for-1. You get Punk and Roman back reestablished. Punk's got the World Heavyweight Championship again. Finn has Dom interfere because Dom is jealous. Let's say Dom loses the Mega Championship in AAA, and he's no longer their heavyweight champion. He's jealous of the Judgment Day's new heavyweight champion. Ergo, he costs Finn. Finn wants to come after him for revenge. Therefore, you get two WrestleMania matches for the price of one. Now, mind you, there's some history. WrestleMania this last year, who was it that Dominic pinned to win the Intercontinental Championship? Finn. So there, you just add up the blocks as to when you're going to have to blow the house down there in the Judgment Day. Punk got the warm Chicago welcome we all know we were going to get. Hearing the voice of the Bulls during the Dynasty era, Ray Clay, getting the Alan Parsons Project Genesis played in the background before you got Cult of Personality. Yeah, homeboy, a warm welcome. First time since I believe 2021 or 2022 when he showed up for Collision and Dynamite in the same building. Stampede, you might be able to check me on that. It was a better match than the one in Dublin. I'm going to say like I said, I think the wrong person in this moment. One, I think the creative could have expanded to where you still kept Finn in mind as a world heavyweight championship threat, but also be able to revert him back to Intercontinental Championship picture if need be. Punk goes on to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 42, Night 2. I mean, there's no way you put that match on Night 1. It's not worth the money and the time. These are money moments. Roman Reigns is money moments. CM Punk. Now that we've lost AJ and John Cena, it's a little hard to sit there and know when CM Punk's going to give it up. We only see Roman part time. Is Roman going to be a part time world heavyweight champion if he wins? Do I see Roman going over at WrestleMania? Well, we'll talk about that later on another episode. But for right now, I want to be able to see what the creative is going to be from now till next Saturday when I do this, to be able to sit there and just kind of dive in. Then we had the crate. The not so great crate, if you ask me. And I'm a Danhausen fan. Very much a Danhausen fan. You know, Stampede loves to send me a good curse here and there. Yeah. I think the road to WrestleMania was not the road you wanted to introduce Danhausen. You could have done it Stand Deliver and then fast track Danhausen from NXT to WWE and the eventual comedy skits we're going to get from him and R-Truth. But I don't really. It's hard to like what happened last night because the crate could have been used for something a little more significant, like a debuting Evil, or and who knows where Evil's going. I think Evil will probably end up on the main roster when he gets to WWE, so he can travel with his fiance, right? Stampede, Kairi, or not Kairi Sane, Io Sky. So we will see where that goes as far as how Danhausen has an impact. Now, he's going to do great with merch. He's going to do great with the kids. The gifting of human teeth to Michael Cole was a nice introductory touch. I mean, you got to gift the GOAT, per se, of this generation. Honestly, that would still be Jim Ross, but, right now for WWE, the greatest of this current WWE generation, Michael Cole. It seemed Wade Barrett knew more about Danhausen than Michael Cole, which, Michael Cole doesn't necessarily always know what's going on outside the wrestling world, out of WWE. But it'll be, like I said, it'll be interesting. He's got friends on the roster between NXT and main roster. Cody, Punk, Ethan Page, and a few others. He might be end up being a nuisance to Ethan Page. I mean, if you've ever seen their YouTube and their TikTok shorts, they sometimes get really funny. On top of that, let's talk about something else. The Vision. I could see the Vision legitimately adopting 2 new members from NXT. I think the consensus yeah, that they did. Yeah, Mark Nash, you got to be on the spot about Javon Evans. The Vision is lacking 2 members. I mean, we already know how snake bit that group is. honestly, I think that this would be a perfect time post Vengeance Day to bring up Ethan Page and Ricky Saints and to get mentored by Paul Heyman and to give experience and knowledge to Austin Theory and Logan Paul, especially with the fact that Seth Rollins is now back as of last night. Not trying to get too ahead of myself. The men's elimination chamber match, it could have done better. You know, I think Drew involving himself in the finish was a horrible idea. You there's enough to sit there from King of the Ring, the King of the Ring qualifier, um, in other areas to go, okay, Randy now deserves to get the one over on Cody. Um, then you can sell Cody into, okay, well, what is he going to have planned for WrestleMania? Now that for the first time in 3 years, he's no longer at the top of the card. It's going to be interesting come Friday if Cody ends up regaining the world hit or the WWE championship, because then where do you go with it? You got Randy who has a guarantee. Drew more than likely is going to enact his rematch clause. Hello there, Grandmaster Solace. Appreciate you on the pod today. Yes, it's gearing towards a triple threat night one, but honestly, Randy and Cody, you have enough ammunition now as of the other day that if you wanted to divert Drew to facing somebody that we have never seen in a WWE ring outside of his general managerial role, Nick Aldis, there's routes for Drew. Honestly, still will end up a triple threat at WrestleMania. So, hopes and dreams of seeing Nick Aldis or Adam Pearce in a match come WrestleMania. Well, unless you're playing WWE 2K26, which does come out this Friday if you got the early edition. If you have the standard edition, March 13th. Did I like Chamber? Chamber was good. Chamber was good for what the meat and potatoes. It was a solid B. Sometimes it was dipping right into the C plus area, but it stayed a pretty level B show for what we're gonna get coming into WrestleMania. Let's see here. Javon Evans. You know, WWE is taking stock into Javon Evans and Trick Williams real well. It's not a triple threat anymore, but John Paul changed it. We'll see. We'll see. I didn't think it deserved. The only match on the entire card that deserved a B plus was the women's elimination chamber match, followed by the AJ Lee Becky Lynch match, just because Becky plays a damn good heel in the ring, you know. And as Stampede said earlier in the podcast in the comments, Becky's character is one, whether you're gonna really like it or really want her to shut up. I could see Jacob getting involved, but that's going to probably involve where we're going to see who attacked Jacob back last year. Honestly, that's how I think we get introduced. You know, WWE did great with the NXT Anonymous segments, I kind of really wish they would bring back GTV or a Raw/SmackDown Anonymous. Uh, they have Mustafa Ali over there in TNA. Wouldn't hurt to pay him a little bit of money to hack Raw and SmackDown again. Let's see here. Let's move on. I'm going to move right into Dynamite this week. Since the Raw card hasn't really been released, or I haven't seen Adam Pearce deliver the news yet, make it official yet. Let's see here. The Brawling Birds versus the Inspiration. Cassie Lee and Jessie McKay versus Alex Windsor and Jamie Hayter. I am a big fan of Jamie Hayter. I think a lot of her wrestling is very British strong style, very old school when it comes to women's wrestling. Alex Windsor, the fiance or wife, I believe now, of the aerial assassin Will Ospreay, she is really showing out why she is all elite. Cassie and Jessica. I love the fact that they are stepping their game up, trying to show themselves as being worthy of being where the best wrestle. And I think both teams are honest to God threats in the AEW women's tag team division, let alone the singles division if they want to push those women there. Next match we're going to go over is Tekla versus Thunder Rosa. Love me some Thunder Rosa. Love me some Tekla. I like the fact that AEW under Tekla has gotten toxic. Thunder Rosa, I can tell you, first time that I ever saw Thunder Rosa was in an armory in Killeen, Texas during an independent wrestling show. Same place I saw Sammy Guevara. And, I knew back then that if they were ever to get signed by a major company, they were going to make something worth of it. They have. Now, we haven't seen Guevara in a long time, that or we get him on Ring of Honor. Thunder Rosa has been dealing with injury. Tekla is the new women's ace, if you ask me, of the AEW women's division. That's not a slight on Toni Storm. Not at all. I still think that Toni Storm, for lack of better use of wordage here, Toni Storm is a linchpin. We used to talk pillars. Toni Storm is a pillar of the women's division. Now we don't have Britt Baker very often, if ever these days. That's who I would place into that role. Tekla, if she sustains and stays with AEW for the long haul, she will fit herself into that. Thunder Rosa, I would say you could call Thunder Rosa a pillar. Go back to that Britt Baker Thunder Rosa hardcore match years ago. That image of Britt Baker bloody, that crimson mask all over her face. I think that you're going to see this either end up in a DQ or Tekla going over on Thunder Rosa. I really wish it wouldn't have a clear definitive win. I think this is a feud you can milk just for the sake of, now that Thunder Rosa's back, it's a road to redemption, a road to recovery, and getting back what's important to her, as well as showing why she is still a threat in the AEW women's division. And then then with Tekla, she is the best women's talent on there. Her ability to talk, she's Gunther in her small Austrian frame. She can talk, she can wrestle, she can talk smack to you in another language, to be honest with you. It's going to be quite interesting, that match. And then for the other main card announced match for Dynamite this week, we have us MJF versus Kevin Knight. Two of the young best talent that there is in professional wrestling. One is the World Trios champion, or 1/3. The other one is now a 3-time, I think, right? Stampede, 3-time. AEW World Champion, that being MJF. MJF's going to make, Kevin Knight really doesn't need to be made. But considering MJF is the best heel in the game, WWE, AEW, TNA, New Japan, X, Y, and Z, your mother's enter Bully Ray insults here. MJF is going to really make the man shine out. Oh, that's right. Penta and Dominic Mysterio is for tomorrow night. I think the consensus is this is going to be 7-up and 0 for 7 with Penta. If they haven't pulled the Intercontinental Championship trigger on Penta yet, they're not going to until we get past Finn and Dom. I don't think it'll be successful for Finn, or not. Excuse me, Finn, Penta. Going back to Kevin Knight and MJF. MJF, what can you say about the man? He harkens back to a past era, but he's a new age heel. You know, he's not afraid to ruffle a few feathers. I see MJF retaining, but Kevin Knight's going to show out. And as Stampede in the comment section said, this is one of many title shots he's going to get. I agree. Between him, Speedball, Mike Bailey, the fact that they are even, excuse the pun, saddled with Hangman Adam Page, that trio could be really successful if the right sensible pushes and matches are put out there for them to be in. For MJF, let's see here. We got Revolution. He's going to face Hangman Adam Page. Hangman Adam Page states, I don't know if the stipulation still exists as far as the never challenge again, but the fact that we have a Texas Death Match, I expect a little bit of extracurricular activity in the match. Being that it's no DQ, somehow you get Swerve, Andrade, even Brody King involved in the match, since there are so many wicks or pokers in the fire as far as the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. It's going to be interesting to see how they go with that. I think MJF retains. I think it's going to be bad business to have anybody think, hey, Hangman Adam Page isn't worth another World Heavyweight Championship. If Cody's getting a shot after the stipulation that he could not chase Drew for another championship. Where there's a will, there's a way. TNA. It's kind of nice to see TNA going with AE or AMC. AMC, it gives a broader audience to TNA. TNA's numbers the last 2 weeks have kind of started to lower, but I also kind of think with the fact that you have the engrossing of sports, you got baseball coming back, you got basketball, college and pro, kind of heading towards March Madness and the playoffs itself. The end of the Super Bowl. Wrestling kind of likes to sit right there in the crease as far as watchable options. I do like the fact that they've started to book TNA better. TNA itself has needed a little bit better creative input. When you only have two people, Delirious and Tommy Dreamer, they can only do so much. So I think they have been leaning on the NXT creative team for some of their stories, which is a nice thing. That's that whole thing with the partnership. It's going to be interesting. Now, I'm going to, for the next 10 minutes, since I said this is going to be a very short episode, considering I'm getting my feet wet again. For the next 10 minutes, in the comments, if you have any questions, any comments, any concerns, complaints, moans, groans, bitches, or just questions you want me to answer for the next 8 and some change. Yeah, 8 minutes and 5 seconds. I will answer any questions that you have coming up. Also, if you are interested in jumping in on any future episode, please let me know via DM, anything on here. I am more than happy to have more talking heads than myself be a part of this. I enjoy this. It allows me a creative outlet to be able to have fun, be able to watch these things and do these things with all y'all. Oh, yeah, AEW had it. I mean, NXT had to face off against the State of the Union, and we all know that we're all interested in hearing what nonsense and insanity is going to come out of the President of the United States' mouth. So there's that. But AEW's ability on TV here lately to put out a great show, you can't argue it. With the mini Anarchy in the arena match or the Mile High Madness match we had, that was great. I love that 10-man human demolition derby that it was. It was well done. FTR and the, what do they call Stampede? What do they call? Ricochet's group. So, Grandmaster, I kind of want to agree and disagree in that same sense. You want to introduce well before the jumps up for some of the talent that's going to Raw and SmackDown. You want to get them out there so you get used to them. You don't want to necessarily just shock and surprise unless it's a big free agent is going to that route. The women's division, we already know how stacked the women's division in NXT is. So if they bring up a Callie Armstrong and a few others that are there that are getting the eyes on from the world, it's next woman up in NXT. I think the men's division is going to be, where do I see Charlie or Dakota Kai going? Dakota Kai, I think she leans AEW, but I could see an effort by TNA for her to come in, especially with other WWE talent that's gone there. But I'd really like to see her in AEW. You know, and hopefully the injury bug stays far away from her. We deserve a Dakota Kai that can be a threat. We deserve a Charlie who should be wearing women's gold in any company that she's in. Oh yeah, the Gates of Agony, the tag team. I was talking about the nickname for the faction that those three have. And then you had the Rascals. I think it was and the Bucks. Yeah. It's a good Mile High Madness match. Any more questions? Stat versus Charlie. Oh. Not to poo-poo on Chris Statlander's week, but I could see where Charlie is made the Pro Wrestling Eve international champion. I really do. You know, as long as Charlie doesn't follow her former tag team partner Nixon Newell's path in life, the better she'll be. So I see Charlie going over on Stat. The way that Stat looked during that segment with Thunder Rosa and Tekla, I think it eats at Stat that she's no longer the AEW Women's Champion. The demand. There you go. That being said, let me pontificate a little bit on old Ricochet. I kind of think it's interesting that he's walking back a few of the comments he's put out on social media in regards to his time in WWE. Yes, I won't disagree that Ricochet should have better and more obvious chances in WWE, but he was also a victim of being part of the Vince McMahon era and not necessarily wholly the Triple H, Paul Levesque era. So I think him being in AEW, he gets to wash some of that VKM stink right off his back. But you know, he's also understanding there's always a chance for anybody in professional wrestling to go back to WWE, go to AEW, show up in TNA or New Japan, surprise us in MLW, CMLL, or AAA for that matter. Let's see. What else to talk about? I think that there you go. There's a thought right there. Ricochet and Jack Perry. The slow build has been really good between the two of them for that AEW National Championship when they do meet up. I think it ends up being a really good match. One to where you won't have to cry a river to watch it. Finn and Dom at Mania for the IC title. Now, I was listening to Busted Open the other day, and they were discussing Finn and Dom and the potential for Finn to rejoin with Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest. Now, do I think that's going to happen? No, I think Finn should be on his own, or if he's going to create his own new faction, face faction, whatever, there shouldn't be any doubt who the leader of that faction is going to be. But I think Finn and Dom, if booked right, if given enough time during that night, would steal the show. To be honest with you, free WrestleMania. What do I think about free WrestleMania? Free WrestleMania. The fact that ESPN2 and then the night after ESPN. Now, mind you, ESPN recently just came out with the statement that they are going to women's sports each Sunday, which is a good thing. It shows evolution in regards to broadcasting sports in general. So I think to kind of preface and kind of pick up on that train that ESPN wants to go through, that the opening match is going to be a women's championship match, whether it be the Intercontinental or the world titles. Let's see here. Finn is going to have a lot to explain tomorrow. I don't disagree. But then again, it's hard not to have somebody show the code of honor every once in a while. Because that's a good opponent to be up against. If this means Finn is getting jumped out by the Judgment Day, you got to start somewhere to get somewhere. So, yeah. CJ, it's nice to see you. Mike, it's nice to see you as well. Stampede with the Finn come out as the demon and get cursed by Danhausen. Let's not break the ropes again. If you're going to do that, you got to do it during a Roman Reigns match. Finn and Dom, I'm going to say, if you do it right, we'll steal the show. Night 1 or night 2. I really think they got it in them. I mean, it's Finn Balor, and Dominic Mysterio has made himself enough of an effective talent in professional wrestling, whether in AAA or WWE or even down in NXT. He's got sustainment as a heel. He'll get the babyface pops, but he's got sustainment as a heel. Gobbledygooker. Well, the other day we were on the EVP show's Elimination Chamber prediction show, and my thought was what was in the crate was the mummified remains of Hector Guerrero inside the Gobbledygooker suit, waiting to debut since Survivor Series so long ago. So, Danhausen's going to be, he's going to be a cash cow, but he's going to be limited in some sense as just mainly a comedy wrestler. I could see him and Truth being able to talk about the ESPN app and how to subscribe to the ESPN app, or to sync in with your TV provider. Now that we don't have Shotzi anymore, Danhausen probably will end up doing Halloween Havoc and playing the host with the mostest. Let's see. Free Mania is an interesting term. Yeah. The first hour I think is designed for the casuals. The first hour is going to give eyes to people that don't really watch WWE or prefer professional wrestling. As as Mike sat there and said, Brain said you're gonna, with the buy-ins for AEW. Yes, it is a good way to bring in extra eyes, new eyes to a new product. I know I talked in the past about house shows. WWE, AEW. I think both should start investing in them again. And there's a way you can plan it to where you can have Friday Night SmackDown working Friday, Saturday, Monday Night Raw crew working Sunday, Monday. Give them a break, especially going into a PLE or another appearance, say NXT or SmackDown. That way you still get the reps. You can still get the eyes on from families and pro wrestling crowd. You know, we'll sit there and say it's a good idea, and also one that, if you're looking in the negative, could seek to be a sign of desperation that the WrestleMania card and creative itself has kind of been. So we'll see there. Let's see here. What else? Stampede wants. Hey, CJ, I don't know if you could handle Jade. Really, I really don't think you could handle Jade. Let's see here. Mayhem. You know, it's time to induct the love child of Mae Young and Mark Henry into the Hall of Fame. I mean, he deserves the Warrior Award for all the abuse and the shock and awe of the moment. Let's see here. Miami, it's nice to see you. Nice to see you. Grandmaster, I think truth eventually will factor into more of a role behind the scenes as a producer, probably NXT. So yeah, he could probably the new Danhausen, but there's nobody like R-Truth. R-Truth is a national treasure for a reason, you know. Let's see here. Danhausen signed a 2-year deal. I believe a lot of the new deals, unless you're like a CM Punk or Cody Rhodes, top tier or at least upper mid card, that's the standard signing total starting out. Something that I believe that a lot of people might scoff at is the fact that with WWE and especially AEW, if you aren't moving ratings, merch, or money, and you're not putting butts in seats, WWE's not. Those companies aren't going to keep you around. They want their bottom dollar. Now, I don't believe that so much for AEW versus WWE. I believe AEW is more for the love of the game, but with WWE, it's about checks and championships. I guess the best way to put it. If I gotta steal a Booker T line. So let's see here. What is? Like I said, I'm gonna give a quick shout out to those that have inspired me to get back into this. Kicking out at 2 with Mike and Tori. I'm a big believer that everybody should have a right to exist. So that includes people like Tori, who is a great mind in regards to being able to talk professional wrestling. She and others exist. Not going to say anything less than that. They have a right to exist. Miami and EVP CJ. Miami is one part of her podcast. I apologize right off the top of my head for not knowing the name, but give them a listen. Lady Alpha, also the same. Lady Alpha, give her a listen on her podcast. Sped, Big Mike, Mob Miz, the godfather of all professional wrestling. And no, I'm not talking about Gordon Soley. Stampede. I think that we're going to see a lot of Stampede kind of fact checking me or kind of assisting me in stats here. So be lookout for Stampede. Gimmick Table Media, I've been able to get on some of their shows here recently via CJ and Sped. If you get a chance to watch the Run In Wrestling podcast, the Kicking Out of Two podcast, Point Taken, Good Morning IWC. Let's see here. What else? CJ's shows on Wednesday and Sunday. CJ's got Sunday Scoops this evening at 6 p.m. I'm just glad to be able to do this. Glad to be able to talk professional wrestling. It a lot of times with the way the world is this day and age, and I really hope that y'all keep in mind those who are in harm's way. They're in the Middle East and all around the world. No, it's a trying time for a lot of families right now with the egos of people who promise things and don't deliver. I doubt, honestly, that WWE is going to get sold. Right now, the stock market has TKO at a $45 million or $45 billion almost market worth. I wouldn't believe what Coach or others tell you on their podcast. Could the Saudis buy out the majority stake of WWE? Sure. But I doubt that. WWE doing better than UFC this last business year. That's going to be hard to explain why you would sell off the one that earned more. Let's see. Yes, the EVP show and the Talk It Up podcast. Pay attention to those. CJ is a wealth of knowledge. He's got knowledge that kind of surpasses much of us on here. Let's see here. The executive of sound and theme. Well, that would get rid of Death Rebel, wouldn't it? Let's see. Paramount buying Warner Brothers. That in itself is going to be interesting in the long term in regards to AEW to have, in a sense, TKO and AEW under the same roof. It's going to really, business is about to pick up. Now, I doubt Paramount or Paramount Warner or whatever they're going to call this, Sundance Warner. What they really need to do is fire David Zaslav. Okay. He has been the single big worst whatever demeaning comment here in the history of Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers itself, leading up to it, was just fine before he was there. I honestly think that with Paramount, they're going to honor what they pick up. So if that's also AEW, that they're going to honor the media rights thing. It's not a bad thing to be able to have WWE over here, TKO or AEW over here, and the bottom line benefiting. Eventuality is that Netflix is going to buy up rights to SmackDown and to NXT eventually, especially with the fact that Peacock is no longer holding the NXT events here soon. With AEW, I think we see a little bit more. I think if Tony Khan has the business sense to do it, make Honor Club an all AEW all access network streaming service. That way, even if you have a deal where ROH finally gets a streaming outside the Honor Club, I mean, you'll get a broader sense of the history of Ring of Honor that as well. I think that's the only thing holding Ring of Honor back. Um, is not being able to be seen by anything but behind a paywall as far as the Honor Club stuff. Vengeance Day, the last PLE on Peacock. I mean, it was a good run for with Peacock. They still have the deal, I believe, till the end of this year or next with Saturday night's main event. Let's see here. I agree with that comment, Mike. I think a lot of what's being hidden from all of us behind said paywall, some of the best talent in professional wrestling who got their start because of Ring of Honor, and this generation now that performs on Ring of Honor are just waiting to be showcased and shown to the world that will hopefully give AEW Ring of Honor more eyes. Stampede said something to me a long time ago, when I was a little critical of Mercedes Moné's title grabber run, that it's putting eyes on different brands, on different companies. And, I'm a big believer in the idea that with all those companies, you deserve the fact that people are employed, the fact that people can put food on the table, roofs over heads, clothes on bodies, that we are 25 years post. Okada's going to kill our AR Fox. That'll, yeah. That we are 25 years past what was going to be a monopoly at the time. And now that we have options, TNA, CMLL, AAA, and some of them bind with others in partnership and acquisition, just means a bigger piece of the pie for everybody that participates. Let's see here. Alexis Falcon to face Mercedes Moné. I think that's going to actually end up being a really good match. Mercedes is probably going to put her Alexis on a platform that is going to get her eyes, whether it's WWE, AEW, and other major companies. Let's see. Anything else? Oh, man. Let's see. And then the Triple H New Era thing. When it's a new era every 2 weeks, no. It's not necessarily a new era. It's just a continuation of the old era until they get all the familiar faces off TV and really depend on what they're trying to evolve, bring up and coming from NXT that don't commonly get main TV time. Let's see here. Other than that, I'm going to cut this off since I went 3 minutes over, actually about 15 minutes over what I was going to do. As I said, thank you for watching. I appreciate everybody that watched today. I know this sounded a little bit jumbled. First time in a long time that I've done this. Be a little bit prepared the next time. Catch me on the prediction show, EVP show for Elimination Chamber on Wednesday. We, I believe, still need one more luminary, close personal friend to join us. The aforementioned podcast you can find on any streaming platform, Discord, Twitter. I believe Kicking Out at 2 is on Blue Sky. Stampede will give you the world of wrestling every run-in wrestling podcast with Sped and Big Mike. Let's see here. Anything I'm missing? It was nice to talk to you guys again. As always, I'm your grand exalted Pumbaa, Chris Branson. This has been the From the Cheap Seats podcast. You can catch me every Saturday morning at 11. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.